A lot of people, when they start learning web development, they spend their time looking at videos and using online tools for programming, and those are really good. But sooner rather than later, what you need to do, and if you want to do something like this, is to transition into using a text editor on your own machine and do your coding there instead of always using online tools. So I'm going to show you basically how to do that. So first of all, you need a text editor. If you don't know what a text editor is, then you should go ahead and install one, and I'll show you a good one. If you do, then you can skip these installation steps. So if you need a text editor, go to atom.io. This is the text editor I tend to use, and also the one I use for my class. You hit the download button, you install it on your Mac, and then you're up and running. So I'm going to pause now and let you install that, or better yet, you pause the video and download this editor. And whenever you are up and running and ready to go, then we can start back up again. Okay, I'm assuming you installed Atom. So let's get started. When you install Atom, Atom is not going to be in your bar at the bottom, so I'm going to go into Options and remove him from the dock. And so if I want to launch Atom, I'm going to go up here and I'm going to type in Atom and launch it. And so I don't have to go hunting for this later. Now that it's in the dock, I can go and keep in dock, and now it won't go away. Now, if this is the first time you've ever run Atom, you probably have some tabs open, and they'll say "Welcome to Atom," things like that. What I want you to do is I want you to close those. Now that you have a text editor installed, you can actually start doing some coding. One quick word about text editors. Text editors are what you use for code. You don't use word processors. You don't use something like Word or Pages. What those do is they embed a lot of information into the document that you don't want. With text editing, you only want the information of the code itself, not anything about formatting or whatnot. And so the text editor is just that. It just edits text. It's in many ways much less fancy, but it is exactly what you use whenever you're doing programming on your own computer. All right, next step is if you're doing programming on your own computer, you need to have a place to save your files. Here I have Finder open. What I do is this, and this is what I recommend for anybody getting used to programming on their own machine. If you've already done a little bit of this and you already have a spot, then keep doing it the way you're doing it. But if not, go to Finder and then go to Preferences. And then in the Sidebar section, there's General, Tags, Sidebar, Advanced. Go to Sidebar and choose whatever your login name is. Mine is Eric Sowell, so I choose that, and now that shows up on the side of my Finder bar. And so this is where this is your user account on Mac. This is where all your files for your user, as opposed to some other user that might log onto your Mac, would go. If you're the only user that uses this Mac, then this is still the right place to go. So once you're in here, what you want to do is you want to create a folder. And you want to create a folder called dev. I have one right here, and I have all my code in here, and I have a different folder for every little project I make. And there's folders in those folders and whatnot. This gives me a good place to put my code and to organize it. So you'll want to create a dev folder. And so I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to create a new folder. And since I already have a dev, I'm going to create one called development. So you right click, or since this is a Mac, a two-finger click. And new folder, create the folder, and then once you're in there, you can create subfolders for any of your projects. So let's do that. Let's create a new subfolder. So new subfolder, I'm going to call it first code. And now I have something there. Okay, but now we need to get to coding. So let's create a file. So if we go to Atom, I can do this. So if you go to File and you go to Open, I want to open that folder that I just created. All right, so if I go to Development, First Code, and then Open. I will then see a folder there. And so if I two-finger click on that folder, I can create a new file, and I'm going to call it page.html. This gives me a basic HTML file that I can start changing and start trying out and writing my own code on my computer. So now that I have this file, I can actually open it in the browser. And notice I did give it a file extension called .html. That extension is very important. It does two things for you. If a file has an extension, then Atom, the text editor, will give you syntax highlighting. And it'll know what kind of code it is sometimes, at least with HTML it will. It will know what kind of code it is, and it can help you out. Second, file extensions, like .html, help your operating system know what to do with files. So here I have Chrome, and I have Finder, and here's that file. So if I double click on that file, it opens it up in Chrome. And it opened it up in Chrome because it was an HTML file, because the default program on my computer for opening up web pages or HTML pages is a browser. So now that I have this open, I can go ahead and create a very simple, super simple HTML file. HTML files are surrounded by the HTML tag with a doc type at the top, and then inside of it are these two things. The purpose of the head is information about the page. The purpose of the body is the information in the page. So about the page, I can give it a title. And this isn't really a tutorial about HTML. This is about using text editors. And so here we go. First code. If I save that and go back and refresh, my title has now changed. So we're good there. That's information about the page. Here's information in the page. I will create a header, and we should see this in the browser. And there we go. All right. Another thing that you'll definitely want to be aware of whenever you're doing development on your own computer, and that is whenever you make changes to an HTML file and you want to view it, you have to remember to do two things. One, you have to remember to save the file, and two, you have to remember to reload the file in the browser. So if I add a paragraph to this page, you will notice the blue dot at the top. That means I have changes to the file, but I haven't saved it. And so if I go back here to the browser, I see that I don't see that paragraph. And if I refresh, nothing happens. It's very disappointing. Well, the reason why is I haven't saved the file. None of my changes will show up. So I can go to File, Save, or better, Command S, and that will save the file. The blue dot went away. That means I have no changes. If I make more changes, the blue dot comes back, Command S to save it. Next, I come back here. I see that my page hasn't updated. Well, did I save it? Yes, I did. But the reason why it hasn't updated is you have to reload the page to see any of your changes. So now we can go hit refresh, and we should see those changes. So that's the basic idea. Now, when you're starting off with HTML, you'll also start messing around with CSS and JavaScript potentially. And so you can create those and put those in separate files. Or if you're just starting out, one thing I'd recommend is just put the stuff in here. And so here's style tag. If I want to, for example, color the paragraph, I can do something like this. Save it, go back, refresh. Now it's blue. And so now I have my CSS within this file, and if I change it, refresh it, it'll show up. Then I have, if I want to include some JavaScript on the page, save it, go back, refresh. I see my JavaScript, my CSS, and my HTML all in one page. This is a good place to start. You've got a long journey ahead of you if you're getting into coding, but this is a good place to start. You can do your HTML, your CSS, your JavaScript in one file in a text editor on your own machine. So getting used to that and getting used to files in Finder and navigating around and using Atom is essential, or using any sort of text editor is essential if you want to get into programming.